In the United States, copyright now runs for 95 years plus the life of the creator. If he happens to live to be 115, then it runs 115 years. It adheres to any material that you create the second you create it outside of your head. You don't have to register it. It's a criminal act now, not a civil act if you violate copyright. A lot of things have changed there, and in fact, a lot of things have changed in Geneva and Maastricht, and here in Iceland, I imagine. And it is now possible to censor the net quite successfully using intellectual property law. This is why it's your responsibility to ignore it. If you want to see the net go on being free. And use tools that don't lend themselves to its protection, which is to say Windows and the current version of the current operating version of the Intel chip, which identifies everybody who generates or even looks at a document on that computer uniquely. It is a significant problem that we don't know how to face. My dream for this country is that it could become like the Switzerland of bits. I met your Minister of Justice yesterday, and I don't think you'll become the Switzerland of bits until he's out of office. But and I kind of liked him, just personally. But I have a taste for people like that. Come from Wyoming, where my local representative in the Wyoming State Legislature once said, "If the English language is good enough for our Lord Jesus Christ, it's good enough for our schools." So I've seen that kind of guy before. But the main thing, and the main point that I want to get to you, is that, telling all these stories and trying to follow the course of information and what it is and how it's reacted to and what it can become, is that, back a little over 200 years ago, the guy that wrote that quote that I gave you and some other guys of similar wisdom, foresight, and eloquence sat down and wrote a document that said, for the first time, that human beings had certain inalienable rights. These were natural rights that adhered to the human beings just by virtue of their humanity. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, equality before the state. There's another right that they didn't promulgate because it would have been a silly right to try to promulgate. Because at that point, information was something, real knowledge was something that could only be acquired by the elite. And there was no point in trying to convey something that couldn't be conveyed. But what they didn't recognize as a natural and inalienable right was the right to know. And I believe this is an absolutely essential human right, and we now have the means to produce it. In a fairly short time, it will be possible for anybody, anywhere on this planet, to speak his mind, or hers, and possible for anybody, anywhere else on this planet, to hear what that person has to say, or sing, or draw, or make. No longer will the whole subcontinent of Africa be dependent on the few meager books that they're able to get out of the NGOs.